Welcome, viewers, to another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Free. Now, today we are going to talk about feminism, sexual energy, and slightly about Buddhism. Now, first up, this video was inspired by Psych No Gaming, and he asked, "What's your views in today's society and how things are structured when it comes to sex/sexual energy?" Now, first I'll give you my views on what I think is important in today's society. And this one thing that troubles me a lot is this idea of feminism. Now, feminism purports itself to say that it is all about gender equality. They will cite issues like there is an income gap, and they will say women are not treated as equally and as well as men. And the thing, I'm going to ignore all those nitty gritty details, but I'm going to talk about the effects that this kind of philosophy has on us men. Many men today are afraid of expressing what we men by nature are created to do, such as taking initiative, taking risks, as well as risking rejection. I remember watching this video about a certain university somewhere in the United States. I think it's a feminist college or something of the sort, and they brought the idea of consent so far that every single time, I kid you not, every single time uh, a man wants to touch a girl, he has to ask for consent. Every single time. That's the campus rules. And if you, as a male student, screw that up, you are liable to be punishable by, I guess, either the law of the country or by the campus and the likes. When I first saw this video, I thought to myself how ridiculous this idea of feminism has been brought to. Can you imagine, like in the college where perhaps a guy just is trying to make a move on a girl, or perhaps, I don't know, even a handshake. That's considered physical contact, and you have to ask for consent every time there's a physical contact. This is how absurd feminism can become if left unchecked. Okay, there are three main waves of feminism, and today we are living in the third wave of feminism, which is the form of feminism that I personally believe has gone too far. Because the first few ways, fine, I agree with perhaps education, but to bring it so far as to protect unnecessarily by imposing certain laws that makes us men feel afraid to express what we are supposed to express, to be willing to take initiative, to be willing to assert ourselves, that is a very huge issue. Now, I'm a Christian, and in the Bible, there's one particular verse that stands out in terms of the relationship between men and women. The Bible says, "Husband, love your wives, and wives, submit to your husband." But if you open your eyes and you look at society today, what you will realize is that many men are emasculated, and many men are afraid to assert themselves. And this is the effect of feminism on society. And I wouldn't be surprised if many of my viewers find it hard to express our needs as men, because we have been told, "Oh, you're a man, you shouldn't cry. You're a man, you should take up the burden. You're a man, you should be a gentleman." All this kind of stuff. And what you will realize is instead, girls today are a lot more bossier, they're a lot more dominant, while men today are afraid of being labeled a misogynist. And so we cower, we are afraid, and we no longer are able to be the assertive party in the relationship, even though ultimately women love a man that can lead them, that can give them certainty. And that's a huge problem because the women suffer because there's no man that truly is able to certainly and decisively lead them. And the men suffer because they are unable to break through this shackle of feminism and just say, I'm the man, I am going to lead the way. And this is a huge, huge issue, in my opinion, of the society today. Let me just give you this thought experiment. Would you, as a male viewer, prefer a hardcore dominant woman who tells you what to do, when to do it, and the way you should do it? Or would you prefer a hardcore submissive woman that would do what you do, when you say it, and however you want her to do it? What you will realize is 95% or more of the male population would prefer a woman who is willing to encourage, to support, to nurture, rather than men fight you and see who is the manlier person in the relationship. And this ultimately reveals the kind of attitude that we men ought to have. I have honestly not met any man that feels good being bossed around by a girl. But I have seen many women who enjoy being given direction, provided that it is for the good of both the girl and the guy. Because ultimately, they want this sense of security, they want this sense of being led. And this is so key, and that is why feminism today, to me, gone out of proportions, and it's just a bane to many of the little boys growing up, and therefore it's something that ought to change. Next up, there is a part of the question that talks about sex/sexual energy. I'm not sure what exactly the question is, but my thoughts on sexual energy is that when you are full of sexual energy, you have balls. You have balls. And what this means is that you are willing to fail. You dare to take action. You dare to state your opinions. Like I'm daring to state my opinions right now on perhaps controversial issues because I've been on NoFap for however many days. And at this point, I'm no longer that afraid of what people think about me, because rather than lying to be liked, I would rather share my real thoughts and my real opinions. Then we can have open discussion rather than just me simply keeping quiet and simply because I'm scared. Now, the male function, what we men do best and are created to do, is very tied to taking action. For example, I enjoy it a lot when I'm able to post videos after videos on my YouTube channel and just take action after action after action. And a huge part of the reason I am able to do it is because of the sexual energy that I have. A man is the initiator, and possessing an abundance of sexual energy is a huge part that allows us to fulfill our role as the initiator. Now, whether you are an emasculated male, whether you are a dominant male and assertive male, one thing that will not fail to be noticed by men is that even the people who we think are not so attractive as men still take the initiative to approach women, to approach girls, and the only difference is they do it in a way that it's not very effective. And in this point, it shows that no matter what kind of male you currently are, no matter how your attitude has been shaped by society, there's still this inherent need to take initiative, and it stems from your sex drive. Now, I I read a book or an article that talks about how castrated animals tend to lose a huge part of their drive. They lose their aggression, perhaps eunuchs of the past, because in the Chinese dynasty they have eunuchs, and what they realize is that eunuchs, once they lose their nuts, start to exhibit less and less the traits that are linked to testosterone, such as aggression, dominance, and a willingness to assert themselves. Even the idea of initiative is slowly lost and become more passive. Therefore, own your identity as a man. NoFap shows you and gives you a lot of clues about what it means to be a man. Just notice the kinds of traits that stand out during your NoFap, and you will gradually start to realize the impact and effect that NoFap will have on you as a man. I sincerely believe that a woman on NoFap is nowhere compared to a man on NoFap. It's just different. Not only about the brain healing, but it's about the semen retention. Okay, and next part of the video, I'm going to reply to Fake Hipster. He asks, what about Buddhism and your third eye? Now, first up, I have no idea what the third eye is, but I do know what Buddhism is. To those that do not know, I live in Singapore, and many of my family members even are Buddhists. Okay? And in Buddhism philosophy, there is one tenet that is highly focused on acceptance. Very, very focused on acceptance. It's the idea of letting go, to let things be. And what I don't like is this trait of passivity, the idea of accepting every single thing. Now, in Buddhism, the idea is to surpass the ego, to transcend the ego, so that even if people insult you, if people slap you, if people shit on you, you let go of any sense of the ego and you become, I don't know, one with the universe and the likes. And if your child takes drugs, oh, you accept it. Just accept the condition, and that is the way to end suffering. I do know some pretty peaceful Buddhists because they tend to accept who you are, accept the situation, and they don't have this sense of fighting that occurs. I guess in that sense, that is good, right? Because things are more peaceful. But what I firmly believe is that us as men have the necessary drive to change the circumstance that we see as wrong, as unjust. You can be very sure that if my child is taking drugs, or in fact, even just smoking a cigarette, I would step in and do something about it and educate and even discipline my child instead of just passively accepting it. In fact, this very video, this very channel is to share my worldview with the world and to influence and share ideas that to me are helpful, that to me brings you to a greater sense of satisfaction, to a greater sense of order by giving you knowledge, just a bit of knowledge, a little bit of perspective, and allow you to grow as a man. That's all for today's video. If you like it, like my video, comment on the comment section below, subscribe to my channel, share this video, and I'll see you again.